Hi, I'm Drew Millen, Director of Products. In this tech tip, we're going to look at our layer catalog. Some of our customers have hundreds of layers in their application, and that can cause problems for application performance on startup. The layer catalog is a unique solution that allows you to put them into a catalog that allows your users to browse through the layers that you have and add them only when they need them. So let's take a look. I've opened up Geocortex Essentials Manager to show an example of a site that has probably too many layers for the user. Here's what it looks like in Geocortex Essentials Manager, and if we give this to an end user, they're presented with a really long layer list containing all of the layers. And if all of these layers aren't open by default, they'd have to expand them to find the layers that they're interested in, or know what layer they're interested in by using the search tool here. Even though that search tool or the filter tool makes it easy to find layers in long layer lists, the performance of the application can be degraded when we have too many layers on startup. So how would we improve the performance of this application while still providing end users the ability to access layers that might be of interest to them? I'm going to close this site and show an example of a different application. That site was called Too Many Layers, so I've built one called Just Enough Layers. This is a site that contains a more manageable list of layers in the layer list. In addition, it references what we call a layer catalog. A layer catalog can be used to dynamically add layers to the map so that users can choose from layers they might be interested in saving with their own preferences. In the Site Info panel, we have a reference to a catalog under the list of layer catalogs. We can add as many catalogs as we like. Let's take a look at this catalog site to see how this works. I'm going to close that site for now and open up the catalog that I built earlier. Notice a little icon shows up at the top left corner of a site that's designated as a layer catalog. And when we create a new site in Geocortex Essentials Manager, we can specify that it's going to be a layer catalog site in the Create Site wizard. When we look at this catalog, you configure it the exact same way that you do a site. It just doesn't have all of the other configuration elements because it's not meant to be loaded by itself. This catalog is meant to be included in other sites. We can still manage permissions and data connections because those could be associated with layers in this catalog. And in fact, all of the configuration settings that you have on an individual layer basis can be managed through this catalog so that they're preserved when users add these layers to their sites. So let's go back to that site where we had just enough layers for a second. And our more manageable list, I've also designated a folder in the layer list called My Layers. So I put the default layers in a folder called Default Layers, and then user added layers will go into this folder. There's a setting on the folder that says Place User Added Layers Here. I've ticked this checkbox to indicate that when users add layers to the map, that's where they should be placed. If we look at our viewer and configure the settings of the viewer that we added to this application, in the toolbar, I've added a button to launch the layer catalog from the list of available tools. Let's look at how this application behaves. I'm just going to sign in because I secured this application. Notice that the layer list is far more manageable for the end user when it first opens up. And we have a button in the top right corner in our toolbar to invoke the layer catalog. And in here, I've added a collection of all of the other layers that the administrator might want to make available to their end user. We can still filter this list to look for layers that I'm interested in. For example, this 911 calls layer. In this way, you're allowing your user to effectively customize maps that they want for themselves. So by adding this 911 calls layer to my map, I'm deciding that this is a layer that's interesting for my business case, but it might not be needed by every other user in the application. That's a quick introduction to the layer catalog. Hope that you learned something from this tech tip.